Imagine the sound, not the clash of swords, but a grinding roar of thousands shouting, screaming, dying. This is the true sound of a medieval battle, dust, sweat, and blood thick in the air. Men stand shoulder to shoulder, shields locked, forming a wall that pushes and gives but rarely breaks. Yet most killing doesn't happen here. The real danger comes when the line shatters, when order dissolves into panic. A rout. One side breaks, the shield wall splinters, and every man is suddenly prey. Survival now depends not on fighting, but on escaping. At Hastings, the English shield wall held until it broke. Then the real slaughter began. The disciplined fight was brutal, but the rout was a massacre. This pattern repeats across history. The collapse is both psychological and physical. Panic spreads like wildfire. A single man runs, then 10, then 100. The will to fight vanishes, replaced by a primal instinct run. In that moment, turning your back makes you most vulnerable. The battle is over, but the struggle for survival has just begun. The rout is the true killing ground of medieval warfare. It's not about heroics, but about the terror of collapse. The shield wall's strength is unity, its weakness is fear. When fear wins, chaos reigns. The aftermath is not glory, but desperate flight. The lesson in battle, the greatest threat is not the enemy in front, but the panic behind. And in that chaos, survival is a matter of mind and luck. We imagine knights in shining armor, locked in heroic duels, but that's mostly fantasy. Real battles were about formation and discipline, not individual heroics. The main fight was a brutal, exhausting contest between dense blocks of men. Killing was hard. Armor and shields made it even harder. The goal was to hold the line, exhaust the enemy, and break their will, not to kill everyone. Casualties were low as long as formations held. The real slaughter came only when one side broke and ran. At Towton, hours of pushing and hacking ended in a rout and a massacre. The melee was about endurance and morale, not glory. Replace the image of dueling knights with a terrified, sweaty mass pushing for survival. Survival meant stamina, footing, and trust in your comrades. The true test came when the line broke. Stand and die, or run and hope to live. The myth of the glorious melee hides the grim reality of fear and chaos. In truth, the rout, not the duel, was the deadliest moment. Panic is the most contagious force on a battlefield. Exhausted, battered men could hold for hours until a single spark of fear set off a chain reaction. A fallen commander, a shouted rumor, or one man running could shatter discipline instantly. The shield wall dissolved into a mob, each man thinking only of escape. This wasn't cowardice. It was a human response to terror and chaos. The structure that gave courage vanished, only fear remained. At Agincourt, French morale collapsed when they saw their own men fleeing. The sight of defeat created more defeat. The mind of an army is fragile. Once broken, the rout is unstoppable. Panic spreads faster than any weapon. The collapse is psychological first, physical second. One man's fear becomes everyone's doom. The lesson, morale is everything. Lose it, and the battle is lost. The rout is a mental avalanche, and survival depends on resisting its pull. In the chaos, the difference between life and death is often a matter of mindset. The battlefield's deadliest weapon is fear itself. When order breaks, the mind's strength is all that remains. The psychology of collapse is the true engine of medieval slaughter. In battle, armor was a soldier's best friend. Until the rout began, protection turned to burden the moment you ran. Heavy, restrictive, and hot, armor made fleeing nearly impossible. A fleeing soldier couldn't defend his back. He was an easy target. Knights had some back protection, but most common soldiers did not. Even for knights, exhaustion and weight made escape deadly. Overheating, stumbling, and falling meant certain death. At Wisby, mass graves held armoured men killed while helpless on the ground. Helmets limited vision and hearing, isolating the runner in a cage of steel. Armor that saved lives in formation became a trap in chaos. The rout turned expensive protection into a death sentence. The battlefield punished those weighed down by their own defenses. In the end, survival favored the swift and unencumbered. The irony, what kept you alive in the line could kill you in the rout. In the chaos, armor became a prison. Nothing was more terrifying than being surrounded. For a fleeing army, encirclement meant slaughter, not escape. At Towton, the defeated were trapped between river and enemy. Thousands died in a bottleneck of blood and steel. Armor and exhaustion made the river a death trap. The victors showed no mercy. The rout became an execution. At Agincourt, trapped French knights were killed in the mud, unable to retreat. Even prisoners became threats to be eliminated. Encirclement erased all hope. Survival was nearly impossible. The rules of war vanished in the chaos. The field became a killing ground, not a contest. In a trap, the only options were surrender or death, and often surrender was refused. Encirclement was the ultimate nightmare of medieval battle. Survival in such a trap was a rare miracle. Not every death was swift. Many died slowly from exhaustion, exposure, and wounds. Battle was physically punishing. Even victors were left barely standing. Fleeing soldiers, spent and far from home, often succumbed to the elements. At Towton, cold and snow finished what swords began. Medical care was primitive. Infection and untreated wounds killed many after the fight. A broken bone or deep cut could be a death sentence. Most soldiers had no access to doctors. Survival was luck and resilience. Mass graves show both old wounds and fatal new ones. The aftermath was as deadly as the battle itself. Surviving the fight was only the first step. The real challenge was surviving the night, the cold, and the infection. The slow killers haunted every survivor. The battle's shadow lingered long after the swords fell silent. Medieval battlefields seem distant, but their lessons are timeless. The core challenges: control panic, maintain readiness, and stay aware. Panic shattered armies. Calm minds found escape. In any crisis, stopping to think is the most vital survival skill. Physical fitness was life or death then. It's resilience now. The exhausted fell, the fit endured. Situational awareness saved lives, knowing the terrain, spotting escape routes. Today it means knowing exits, having a plan, and staying alert. The environment changes, but human psychology does not. Survival is about preparation, awareness, and calm under pressure. The lessons of the rout apply to any modern emergency. The past teaches us to be ready for chaos. In crisis, the mind is your greatest weapon. Survival in a rout was a battle of the mind. Physical strength and armor mattered, but mental resilience was decisive. The survivor adapted, made quick decisions, and kept hope alive. Flexibility and problem-solving under pressure define the difference between life and death. The chaos of a rout is a metaphor for modern crises. Don't give in to fear. Engage your mind, adapt, and look for a path forward. The ultimate armor is an unbroken mind, the sharpest weapon, a clear head. The fields of Hastings and Towton are silent, but their lessons endure. In chaos, our greatest hope is our readiness, awareness, and will to endure. The human spirit's strength is the true legacy of survival.